The Daily Times, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Troy Pro Boharan.
Hello, everybody, and greetings from the Blueticks Tavern in downtown Maryville. I'm Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, along with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons, and this is the Goatee Sports Page. Former Vol quarterback Condridge Holloway to be honored, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set today's lineup card, sponsored by Blunt Partnership. The University of Tennessee Sports Report, sponsored by the Cherokee Group and the Murphy's Bobcat SEC Notebook, lead off with Marcus Fitzsimmons and Donnie Moore. And today we'll recap last weekend's Virginia game, set the stage for the Austin Peay contest, and throw in some other UT news. Former Atlanta Brave pitcher Charlie Paleo will join our crew. Donnie Moore will update us on high school scores and news from around the area. And then Mark It Down with Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty, features Eagleton Academy football as the Royals get their first victory of the season last night. The Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment will be in the lineup. Donnie Moore returns to discuss headlines from around the sports world before the Boyd Sports Spotlight shines on today's football games from across the land. And finally, the Bowl Prediction segment closes out today's show as the panel makes their weekly pigskin predictions. And now it's time for the Cherokee Group UT Sports Report and the Murphy's Bobcat SEC Notebook, featuring veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons and Goatee Sports Page veteran Donnie Moore. I'm Mike Edwards, and I would like to welcome everyone back for another week on the broadcast. Former Major League pitcher and a fixture on the sports page for several seasons, Charlie Paleo, was back with us. And, Charlie, welcome back to the sports page. And how are things in Atlanta?
Doing good, guys. Good to be back in Blount County. Got a chance to see the William Blount football team last night and a little UT football this afternoon. So, no, all going pretty good.
Yeah, well, that's good. And football's in the air, and we're going to start off with our segment, Let Her Rip. And, Charlie, we've...
Are you ready to let her rip, Charlie?
Let her
rip. That's a good one.
And I'll tell you, we're going to let them rip this morning because I've never seen, in the first week of college football, a more pathetic matchup of games than I saw last week. So that's the topic today, the most pathetic matchups in college football from week number 1. And, Charlie, I'm going to start off with you. The first one is Oregon State and Portland State. Oregon won that game 81-7. Or Oklahoma and Arkansas State and Butch Jones. Oklahoma won that game 73-0. So between those two games right there, what's your pick for the worst?
I think I'm going to go with Butch Jones. I saw a picture on whatever they call that thing now. It's not Twitter, it's something else. Of him smoking a cigar when he was at Alabama and they beat Tennessee, and he's hugging a guy with a big number 73 on his shirt.
Yeah.
And so now it was kind of justice that he got beat 73-0, and then he was blaming the UT fan base for negativity in his program. So he can't get out of UT. So I'll go with Butch Jones getting beat 73-0.
And I guess out of 80 players, he did have one player consoling him. So I don't know where the other 79
Did you see that? Did you see that where he was kind of rubbing his back and all?
Yeah, the other 79 hit the road somewhere. I don't know where they were.
See you later, anyway. Butch. You're done.
Yeah. Hey, Marcus, Ole Miss and Mercer. Ole Miss won that game 73-7. Or Southern Cal and Nevada. Southern Cal won that one 66-14. Huh?
I'm going to go with USC on that one. That was, it's bad enough watching the Pac-12 in its final death throes, but good Lord, when it's got something like that. I mean, who watched that? 14 people somewhere in Southern California? Nobody watched that game.
Yeah. That was probably the prime broadcast on the Pac-12 network.
No, you used the wrong term there. Prime broadcast has a whole new meaning.
It does,
now.
doesn't it?
Yeah. Donnie Moore, you got the next one.
All right, lay it on me.
Notre Dame beat Tennessee State 56-3.
I know.
Or Alabama beating Middle Tennessee State 56-7.
You know, my feeling is, what are these teams doing playing these other teams in the first place?
Yeah, really.
But You know, I think the tide's gonna roll more than Notre Dame's gonna hop like a leprechaun. So.
Yeah, well, they put Tennessee State on the map. I've not seen Tennessee State now since they played Notre Dame. Probably get them 3 or 4 games next year, huh?
Well, isn't Eddie George coaching down there?
Yeah,
He is.
Eddie George.
Heisman Trophy winner, Ohio State player. Yeah.
This was the first time Notre Dame stepped down to play an FCS team.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first time they've ever played an FCS
First
team.
time ever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And the quarterback
it's not
looked good.
something the Irish usually do, and the fact that they do it, and I think Tennessee State's credited as an HBC now. So, kudos if you're going to do that. Go ahead and do it the right way. But again, who watched that thing after halftime?
Yeah.
Who watches any of these games after halftime?
Charlie, I got one more. Syracuse beat Colgate 65-0. 65-0. Or Cincinnati over Eastern Kentucky 66-13.
I'll go with the Cincinnati Eastern Kentucky. Eastern Kentucky, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
Now, they're playing Kentucky this week, I think.
Yeah.
So they're going to get blasted again. But it's all, look, a couple $1 million for those 2 losses and a few broken bones. And it's we were talking a little bit about it before the show where these teams, they want to take a beating. It's all about the money right now. But they're charging fans $65 and $70 a ticket to get in.
I'll tell you right now, I'm not a big fan at all of these games.
No.
I don't. I guess the only thing that's good out of the deal is those teams are getting the money, but is it really worth it? I mean, is it really worth the money?
I have a plan for this, Mike. I have a plan for this.
Okay, I'm
We're
ready.
consolidating everything else. So what we need to do is gather up all these teams, the Tennessee States, the Eastern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, these FCS teams, and we're going to reconfigure them as the Southeastern Junior Conference.
The minor leagues.
And what you do is they get 3 games a year against the top-tier teams because that's their 2 openers and homecoming.
Yeah.
And that way we can do away with having to pay them $1 million a home game.
That's a good idea because these teams just pass them around. Last year we played Ball State.
Right.
Well, Ball State was playing somebody in the SEC there last week or today. I don't know.
They've got 2 in a row. Yeah, they played well.
And then Austin Peay, same deal, and they just pass them around.
Wasn't Mercer playing back-to-back SEC teams?
Well, no, MTSU is. MTSU had Alabama last week, and they've got some Texas A&M maybe this week. I don't know what they're doing.
Well, let's look at Tennessee right. Let's look at Tennessee right here.
Yeah, pay for the whole program.
Let's look at let's look at Tennessee right here. Now they're playing their second game today, and they bought BYU out last week for $2 million. So they could play Virginia and Nashville. They didn't want to go out to BYU. I don't know what reason was given.
Nice out there.
It's immaterial. But they paid them $2 million to get out of the game. And Virginia came to Nashville to play, and they paid the Cavaliers $1.5 million. So that's $3.5 million. And today they're paying Austin Peay around $500,000. So that's $4 million for 2 wins. Charlie, is that worth it? I mean, is that worth dishing out $4 million?
It doesn't matter to them because I just got an email yesterday about parking passes for football in 2024. If you don't ante up, you're going to drop from Tier 1 to Tier 2, which means you'll be parking over here at the Blueticks and walking to Neyland Stadium with your parking pass.
There's a suspicion going on because several of those emails have gone out, and several people have noticed that parking assignments are beginning to shift. And we think that they're getting prepped for construction on that parking garage for that retail outlet on top of it, and they're going to lose spaces during construction.
Yeah.
And they're getting people prepped for that to start moving them.
Yeah.
Hey guys, they don't call them tiers for nothing. About parking. Guys.
No.
You don't get a Tier 1, you're going to be in tiers.
We used to be close, but
when you get the bill for it, that's exactly what you get.
Yeah.
Donnie Moore, we hear this all the time. We were in high school and teaching for years, and bullying was a big deal. Bully, you had all these classes that dealt with bullying and helping kids. My question is, when you look at what's going on in college football, is this not a form of bullying? I mean, today they're going to beat the Austin Peay. What? They're going to put up 60 or 70 points, and they're all going to beat their chest over there, how good we are and so forth. And that team is just nothing. It's a nothing game. It's
same old.
Same old.
Well, I don't like the idea of putting kids through that. I mean,
No.
what do you tell your team?
No.
You know, they know they're going to get killed.
Right. Sure
I
they
mean,
do.
Well, you say that, but then again, 28-point favorite last week, and they pulled the upset down there.
I mean, there's going to be. And look at Wyoming. You know, when years ago when they beat Tennessee, and that was the end of Fulmer. But I mean, it's going to happen once in a while.
Miracles happen.
But for the most part, it's 65-13.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, and what do you tell your kids? Oh, next week we'll play somebody on our own level. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
We're
I don't know what you do.
We're going to grow from this.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's move on to some.
That's
some
what
other,
you tell your kids.
Let's move on. Let's move on to some other news.
Yeah.
Next Saturday, Tennessee I guess they have a volunteer club that helps. It's an NIL collective. They're gonna open up Neyland Stadium. They're gonna have a night at Neyland Stadium, and they're gonna have these fans that put money into this collective. They're going to give them the opportunity to come to the game and watch come to the stadium and watch the Florida game on the Jumbotron. And it's my understanding that I think they have an orange collective member, a smoky collective member, a checkerboard member, and a Rocky Top. Charlie, depending on how much money you give each one of those, you talk about tiers, how much money you give. And then these are the only people that's going to be let in. They're not letting fans in there. You gotta be these givers to get over there to see this. And they're going to serve free food. They're going to have Gus's fried chicken. I've never had any Gus's fried chicken.
They say it's free
and
food.
they're going to have some type of beverage. I don't know what that is. And then if you've got the VIP ticket, now I didn't read what the VIP ticket costs, but you're going to get a private tour of the locker room and field access prior to the kickoff, and packages start at $100. I guess that gets you a free drink, maybe a Coke. I don't know.
You get to hand your check directly to Danny White when you walk in.
But I'm sitting here thinking, well, if you'd saved the $4 million on the first two games, that would have gone a long way to what you're trying to do
this
here.
This is the NIL collective, though.
I guess.
And
okay.
UT's taking it. Yeah, UT's going to get a donation out of this. But I mean, this is what is paying that $8 million for your freshman quarterback.
Yeah,
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Gosh.
yeah,
Florida State's probably even doing worse.
yeah.
They're probably bigger crooks down there. How do you
Yeah.
think they're doing?
This is actually Tennessee has the model. Like other schools or other collectives are watching what this collective is doing because this is the premier group. This is the one
Is that here to stay? You think this paying these guys
until
like
somebody puts their foot down and says this is how we're going to regulate NIL for college athletes. This is what you're going to see, and this is just the start.
Well, they bought Tennessee, and this goes for all the other schools. Tennessee is playing. They've bought 2 wins, and they've got 2 more wins left on the schedule that they're going to have to buy. Right. University of Texas at San Antonio, and they've got Connecticut, I think, left. So they've got 2 more $1 million deals.
I don't know if you can count UTSA as a purchased win.
Yeah,
your team was in top 25 last year.
Yeah, I know. Well, you're sounding like Troy. Troy's not here.
I don't sound like Troy. I've got
he's
bass
a
in my
big
voice.
fan of hey, don't you remember 5 years ago when such and such beat such and such, in one of these games and da-da-da-da-da. I don't know. Hey,
they're still going to beat them.
Yeah. Hey, Condridge Holloway, Donnie, he's in the news. They're honoring him today with the smoky gray uniforms, and
they are.
They kind of look like the uniforms that Condridge wore back there, but Condridge had the white uniform with the orange up on the shoulder pads, and this today's got the smoky gray with the orange up there. I guess as time goes on.
Yeah, actually, looks nothing like the uniform.
No, it really doesn't. But anyway, I think it's nice that they're honoring him. What a great player he was when he was over there. I'm going to make this comment about Condridge because Charlie. Probably they're going to have 100,000 over there today for the opener. I'm willing to say that at the best, a fourth of those people, at the very best, ever saw Condridge Holloway play.
Right.
And some of them really don't even know who Condridge Holloway is, to be honest with you. They may have heard the name or whatever. Mm-hmm. And, of course, they'll have something up on the Jumbotron, I'm sure, highlights and so forth. But Donnie and of course, I was there when all this was taking place. I was in the basketball program, and I went to some of those freshman games because Condridge couldn't play on the varsity. So he had freshman games. They played Notre Dame over there when Notre Dame had Tommy Clements, and as a freshman, pretty good football team, and that was a big game for them. And they drew a lot of people for those freshman games to watch Condridge and to play. But for my money, with all the quarterbacks that I've seen over there since I've been down here, for my money, the most exciting. Now, I'm not saying statistic-wise because he only had 3 years to play over here.
Right.
Most of the rest of the other ones had 4. And I know Peyton, Peyton was, probably arguably the greatest quarterback that's ever played over here. But Peyton was, dropped back. He could score anywhere on the field. And but for my money, the most exciting quarterback that I've seen play over here, Condredge Holloway, because you never knew what was going to happen when the snap went to Condredge. There was the scrambling back there, and Larry Severs is out there starting one route, and the next he's on route 5 before the ball gets released, and that type of thing. I think he was the most exciting quarterback I've ever seen play over there.
Well, wasn't he an outstanding baseball player too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How many guys since are the starting quarterback now, and also I guess he played shortstop for him. They're doing that. You don't see that much anymore.
Not in college.
No.
You hardly see it in baseball. You hardly see it in high school
And
anymore.
his number's been retired in baseball, and they haven't had an athlete where they've been retired. Their number's been retired in football and baseball or another sport. I think Condredge is in line to have that number retired for what he did over there in the football program.
You would think they would have done that already for him.
Yeah,
sure.
I would think. He's got my vote for sure. But now, I don't know how much the pros enters into that as far as those selections. And, of course, Condredge played his professional career in Canada.
Right.
So.
Tennessee's had a rich tradition of quarterbacks, though. You go back.
Sure
Wasn't
have.
there a guy named, Jimmy Streeter?
Yeah.
Some of these guys, and Bobby Scott, and then, what we're thinking about, the Dewey Warren, all these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, really a rich tradition of quarterbacks that have come through Tennessee.
Yeah. I know when Condredge was playing over there, you could almost throw out the playbook. I remember Coach Trail, he was on this show for years. Of course, he recruited Condredge, and he would say, well, after the snap goes, we got a game plan. We always have a game plan when we played with Condredge, but as soon as the snap happened, the game plan just went out the window because, he's running back there 25, 30 yards, all over the place and, trying to find a receiver and this and that and the other. But
he
was a great one.
Yeah, different era.
Yeah.
Able to do something like that.
Yeah.
I'm just glad they're bringing back the gray face mask for this.
The gray face mask.
The Condredge Holloway era UT uniform had a gray face mask, and that is part of this uniform they're using today.
I'm not big on the gray uniform.
I would have preferred them if they're going to have a Condredge Holloway day. Wear the uniform that they wore back in that day.
Right, with the orange shoulder pads and all.
Yes,
Yeah.
I guess they're contracted to bring out the smoky gray at some point during the year, so bring it out, I guess. But I would have liked to seen them just, hey, it's Condredge Holloway's day. Bring the uniform out that he had.
Well, this is the first. This is a series of 3 of these that are going to be rolled out over the next 3 years. That are going to be tribute jerseys on the gray.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And they adapted what they had with Condredge's era uniform with the patches and the stripes the way they are.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Tennessee and Virginia last week over in Nashville. Tennessee came away with a 49-13 win. 69,507 fans witnessed the game. Vols were favored by 28 points, and Charlie, they really didn't have much trouble surpassing the spread. I thought the game went pretty much as expected for the most part. How about you?
Yeah, I thought offensively it was kind of vanilla. They didn't do a whole lot. I think the most impressive thing about the game was their defense. They looked pretty good. I mean, they really.
Virginia can make anybody's defense look good.
Yeah, they were bad. They were bad.
Yeah.
But I thought the defense looked better for me from last year, and but they'll be tested down the road. But I think that's what stood out more to me in that game. Not so much, what Milton did or anybody else did, but defensively they looked pretty good.
We're not going to find out much today against Austin Peay. They got Florida next week. Florida's down. Didn't look too good against Utah, but Utah's a good football team. They're playing Tennessee at home, SEC opener. I think we'll find out more about the Vols next week. But the Virginia Cavaliers, got to ask this question, Marcus. Was Tennessee that good last week, or was Virginia just that bad? I know they were picked last in the ACC preseason.
I think both is the answer. Virginia is looking like they're going to live up to their prediction of last in the ACC. Tennessee, I thought, outside of the second quarter where there was some sporadic inefficiency there on a couple drives, outside of that, they looked good. I mean, things kind of clicked. I think the concern for them is you lose one of your starting linebackers. So they're already thin in the linebacking, so that's a concern to lose a linebacker in a game like this. You've also got the concern about is Cade Mays going to be back for Florida or not. We don't know if he's going to return. And then I think the latest we heard this morning is maybe Nico's not going to play today because he had a wrist injury in practice. So they may not which, what do you do?
And they're not going to redshirt him.
So
there
you've got your starting quarterback, but if you want to rest him or if you want to work on the backup of if he gets hurt and your freshman's not available, you're going down to, a walk-on on the third string. And if he's not available, then you're on what? Schuler is the fourth string walk-on?
Yeah.
How about their kicker, the punter?
Yeah,
they're not counting on kicking too much, I guess.
The special teams was probably the biggest disappointment, Charlie, last week.
The punter.
Not the extra points. We were perfect there.
No.
But on the kickoffs and the punts.
What do you have, a 16-yarder and a 19-yard punt?
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you what, that'll get you beat right there if you're not
Well,
careful.
maybe they're not counting on punting too much, I guess, with this offense. They
weren't counting on punting very much against Virginia. They were running for first downs on Virginia's own 30-yard line in the first quarter.
I know it.
So, anyway, Charlie, let's talk about Joe Milton, the third. 21 for 30, 201 yards, counted for 4 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 2 passing. Your assessment of his performance, did he live up or fall short, a little bit short of the hype that he had going into the game?
I think, he's about where they expect him to be right now. How do you judge these quarterback with these games? I mean, they get their time in. It's like an NFL preseason game. They play a couple snaps, a couple series. They get a couple touchdowns. I mean, they're out of the game. I think you're right. I think the big thing is going to be Florida, down at Florida, to see what he does under pressure. I mean, I guess he played well against Clemson last year in that bowl game.
Yeah.
But still, it's not the SEC on the road, and that's going to be his big test. I think you'll be able to judge him a lot more then.
Yeah, 499 yards of total offense, and Marcus, the offensive line, I say they had a good day down there.
I thought they rotated well. I thought we saw several guys that kind of solidified that they've potential they can play. They're not going to get a big test today, but I think they want to work on that rotation some more. Like I said, in case Cade Mays is not available, because you're going to have some options when you get to Florida, because up against an SEC defensive front, the likelihood that you can do some of the things you did last week is a lot lower. So you're going to have a center and a backup center, because you can't count on whoever you got in there to play every snap.
I was impressed with the running game, Charlie, because, the running game sets up the passing game. And Dylan Sampson, 4 touchdowns. I know they were 3 short runs in the past, but the offensive line and the backs showed me a lot in that game. And Virginia, if they had any strength, they had 6 players back on defense from last year's team. The offense is and you could tell Virginia just wasn't. They just weren't up to snuff with their offense last week. But their defense, they thought that they would be able to come in and do something with that, but it didn't happen. But I thought Tennessee's offensive line and their backs did well.
Well, I don't know if I'm as high on the running backs, but, I keep looking for that explosive back, that hits. He's got the power and the speed, and they just hit that hole and they're gone. But, it's not even there in the whole conference this year. It's even in the NFL, everything is gone. The running back is gone from being real important down to being just a little minor part of the offense.
I mean, if you look at how defenses have changed, right now, if you were to take some of the linebackers in the NFL level and even the Premier College level, 20 years ago, those guys were running backs. Mm-hmm. They weren't on the defensive side of the ball, but now they're on the defensive side, and they're just as fast as that running back coming at them, and they're just as big. So I don't think your breakaway running back, you have to have, a generational type player. A Derrick Henry is about.
Well, that's what I mean. A guy like that. This Sampson guy came out of nowhere.
You're not going to see that combination of size and speed replicated for all these teams.
And And
if you get one that can break 10 yards for you every couple of carries, you're going to be good in
Absolutely.
the way the offense are set with this 5 wide, even in high school, they're doing that in high school now, spreading that field where, there's nobody in the backfield except the quarterback.
Yeah.
It's all out wide receivers.
Yeah.
You can say that. I saw a game last night that was completely different than that.
Yeah. Last week, you talked about the defense a little bit. You liked the defense. What I liked about the defense is, to me, they showed a lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It looked like they were really up to play, and, they were in sync, and I liked all that. I liked the enthusiasm I showed there, or that they showed on the defensive end. The first quarter was really ragged. You had the 2 punts that were 17, 27 yards. You had the fumble punt return. You had the drop pass for a touchdown, and the first quarter was just, you can't get off, and I'm sure that the coaches talked about that. You can't get off to that kind of start against good football teams and expect to come out early.
No, but I think that's why they actually do need games like this. They're practice games, exhibition games, but they shouldn't be on the schedule, the real schedule, but I got to have a game like that. That's
so
like anything else.
You want the TSSAA to step in and introduce the idea that only your region games count.
Yes.
I don't mind one game like that. I don't want 4 on the schedule.
No.
Marcus.
Even in baseball, they play 30 exhibition games.
Week
one.
Get
ready.
Week 1, looking around the SEC and what happened, really wasn't a great week for the SEC.
It was an awful week for the SEC.
No, South Carolina lost. They're on the schedule, and of course, LSU, all high expectations, and they get drubbed by Florida State. After week 1, do you think Tennessee's schedule, looking at it now, do you think their schedule looks easier now or harder?
To what we thought last
going
Saturday?
In. Before we thought what we thought it was going to be going in.
I don't think it's changed anything, because the games you were worried about, you're still worried about. You're still worried about Georgia. You're still worried about Alabama. And your concern from
Mike's
the standpoint
still worried about South Carolina.
that's where I was going. You're concerned about those. You didn't think that South Carolina was a better team than you. You thought they had the potential to sneak up and beat you having a great day.
Yeah, and they do.
And South Carolina, Kentucky still fall in that in that category.
Yeah.
If there's anything you're a little bit more concerned about A&M than you were before, but
yeah. Well, South Carolina losing to North Carolina at home. I thought maybe South Carolina would get that, even though North Carolina was ranked. And then Florida losing out at Utah. And I think those 2 games right there kind of switched mine. Maybe it's going to be a little bit easy, especially early with South Carolina and Florida on the schedule. But now I'm looking at Texas A&M going to Miami today, and let's say A&M goes down to Miami and beats Miami down there. Then I've got a little bit more respect for A&M than I did going in. But as far as Texas and South Carolina early, I'm not as worried as I was before the season started.
Not at all.
Yeah. Hey, we'll take a timeout here, and when we return, Donnie Moore will provide high school scores and news from around the area, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons joins us with his feature, Mark It Down. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Hit a grand slam with Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union to win big on savings. On first, member managed funds account. On second, free spend account. On third, certificate accounts with competitive savings rates. Load your bases at tvacreditunion.com.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Must use e-statements for no fee option. Some restrictions may apply. Ask for details.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality.
Wow.
For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. The Bluetick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Bluetick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Bluetick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville.
Welcome back to the Goatee Sports page. It's time for the sports scores and high school news from around the area. And Donnie Moore, we've got two undefeated teams in football in Blount County. One of them's Alcoa, and the other one's not Maryville. It's William Blount.
Nope, it's not. You're right.
It's the William Blount Governors at 4-0, and they're off to their best start in years and years.
Since 2007.
Yes, sir. They had a big night last night, and they honored Skip Murrin by naming the stadium after him, and then they came away with the win. It was a big night for William Blount football.
That's right.
That sign looks fantastic.
It does. It looks really good.
Yeah,
does it not?
You can see it from my house.
They call the gymnasium, of course, named after Marvin L. Boring. They call it the Marv, so they're going to have to start calling the stadium the Skip.
Yeah.
Oh, we're down to the Skip tonight.
Yeah. Did a very nice job last night.
They did. It was a great evening. Well, let's start off with the Mandy B. Street Realty local scoreboard. Brought to you, as always, by Mandy B. Street Realty. Alcoa traveled to Greenville Thursday night this week. And I know it was scheduled for that night, but, you know, if they'd have gone Friday night, it'd have been a great night to play football.
Nope, it wasn't either. Not in Greenville.
Not in Greenville.
In fact,
they had some bad
we
weather
only had
up there
the only Greene County game that got played was the one played in Blount County.
Yeah.
Had
some bad weather up that way.
I believe South Greene is playing on Monday and North Greene is playing today to make up games that they just called them, but they couldn't even get them started last night.
They even had some games that are being played tomorrow.
Yeah,
around the area.
In Upper East Tennessee, we've got Saturday, Sunday, and Monday games. This weekend.
Monday
well,
games too.
Greenville didn't get their game finished, I don't believe, with Dobbins Bennett.
No, it was called for weather as well.
Yeah,
so
they've only lost 2 weather games.
So originally they were calling it a draw, and now they're just calling it no contest.
Yeah,
so
it's a no contest.
Greenville's 2-0 instead of 2-0-2.
Alcoa with Greenville Thursday night. It's a no contest. Weather delay hit just in the midst of the second quarter.
And it was the same score as Dobbins Bennett. That game was 7-7 when it got called too.
7-7, Alcoa versus Greenville, and that's where it stayed. I mean, they had a 2-hour delay, and just decided. Of course, Coach Nix wanted to play, and it has to be by agreement of both coaches. And they were working on the Greenville coach, and he was kind of hesitant about playing. But in the end, the decision was made for them by the Greene County Superintendent of Schools, who said, we're done. It's over. And they didn't play.
I don't remember. Is Greenville an artificial surface?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Then you can just wait and play when the lightning's gone.
Yeah.
The field's not.
It would have been interesting to know what they would have done if that would have been a district, a region game. Because you'd have to play that game. I mean, you couldn't just let it go as a no game.
I think region rules are a little bit different.
Yeah, you've got to play those.
Yeah.
But I tell you, when you start football in the summertime, you're going to run the risk of weather, and there was some weather delays at other places last night. You know, back in the day, you started football a week or so after Labor Day, and now they got half the season in almost before Labor Day. So
upshot was it was not a region game, so it just counts as nothing.
But that's a long trip up there.
It was a long
trip to come away with.
Turn around
No,
and come
that's
back.
not a long trip. We'll talk about long trips.
Yeah,
that's not a long trip.
Okay.
In the grand scheme of things, it was not a long trip.
My question is, what's happened to football? I mean, you know, you used to play in fog, you used to play in snow, you used to play in rain. Now we have a storm 30 miles away, and they can't play.
It's lightning. There's
Yeah,
two
it's-
things.
well,
it's lightning.
Are they
It's the
scared?
lightning.
Are they scared?
Well, think
They're-
about this. Back in the day when was in your
Up
day,
there scared. Look, they're
bleachers-
shaking down the end of the table
the
here
bleachers
because
were
there's lightning
concrete.
30 miles away.
the bleachers were concrete in your day. Now they're metal.
Well,
Now the entire
It's a
stands
little
are
different.
metal.
you know,
It's
I
a little
thought football players are supposed to be tough. I mean, come on, you play in snow, you play in
think you're-
rain.
I
Hey, Slayers are, Charlie, but the
It's-
fans are not.
Well, get rid of the fan.
Charlie, there's this thing called lawyers, you know, and they would be
I just-
advertising on TV. Look, we cover wrecks, divorces, and lightning at football
And
games.
football games.
You know,
That's right.
I mean, I've been at a UT baseball game where there've been a 2.5 hour delay, and it doesn't even rain. It's not even rained, and we're sitting there waiting. There's not even raining. Let's play. Oh, we can't play. There's lightning 30 miles away. Okay.
It's called liability.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's true.
You know.
And you can emphasize the first syllable as much as you want.
How many times when you were a kid, you were outside playing football in the snow and the rain and everything, right?
Nobody was cheering for me in
Times
the
have
stands.
changed, Charlie.
I'm just
Times
sorry.
have
Football
changed.
players, you all, I don't know what's happened to you. I really don't.
Oh,
Anyway, next week Alcoa travels to Austin East to take on the Roadrunners,
Oh, Lord.
who lost to Gatlinburg-Pittman last night, 53-14.
Is that are they getting Austin Eat getting paid anything for Alcoa coming over there?
No,
It's
it's
a
a
region
region
game.
game. It's a
Oh,
region
They're
game.
not- they can't get a $500,000 or $1 million, or
I think
So
they
they-
may have gotten that from
And
GP.
Alcoa goes to Austin East,
Lord.
so they have to travel over to AE.
Oh.
Moving on, I'll go over this briefly because Marcus will hit on it shortly. Eagleton hosted West Green last night, won that one 21-18. Congrats, guys, on that great win. We'll talk about
Yes,
that in just
sir.
a few
And that's
minutes.
the tease for those of you who are listening for
That's
our
right.
guests. They're coming up shortly.
That's right.
Yeah.
They'll be here. They'll be here in house very shortly. In fact, they're already with us. Greenback traveled to Harriman last night. And took on the Blue Devils. Greenback had a nice win last night.
Pulled
Won-
away in this one.
Yeah, 36-14 over the Blue Devils.
This was close in the first half, and Greenback dominated out of the locker room.
That's good. Glad to see that. Glad to see
That's
that.
their first win of the season, isn't it?
It is, and it's
Yeah,
a region
think
win.
so.
So
And you know, they in the last few years they've started slow, but they seem
Yeah.
to come on, and they've had some tough games early. They've had Coalfield and they've had Loudon, two pretty good football teams right there.
you know, I was making fun of it, but Greenback's a team that really has grown from some of those losses they took
have.
because it was such a young team. And we're looking at how their region's shaping up. I mean, just because they're 1-3 at this point doesn't mean they're out of the playoff picture.
No.
There's a chance they can play their way right back into it.
They could. Next week, Greenback hosts Oakdale, who lost to Oliver Springs last night, 54-26.
And that's supposedly a good Oakdale team. I think
Yeah.
they were unbeaten going into that game.
I think you're right. You know, which goes to show you don't know what's going to happen on a Friday night.
Sometimes it rains.
It does. It does.
Lightning.
Well, Heritage traveled to Powell last night and got spanked by the Panthers, 47-17. Wow. You know, did you expect that, Marcus?
this is a good PAL team that's played some really good teams.
Yeah,
so
the
their
Panthers-
record was
Panthers
misleading.
are tough.
That whole region is shaping up to be tough.
It
and
was a region game, by the way.
as good as Heritage is, you know, we look at that district and you've got PAL, you've got Halls, you've got Carnes, you've got Central. I mean, Heritage is going to have to struggle to find the game they can win.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, it's a 5-team region, so you've got to win one. And finding which one that could be for Heritage is looking really tough.
And you know that game last week where they lost to William Blount by 1, 29-28.
Yeah, 29-28.
Their record right now is 1-3. And if they'd won that game, it would be 2-2. So
They could just
there's a
as
lot of
easily be
difference
3-1.
between coaching a 2-2 football team and a 1-3 team, whether it be football, baseball, whatever. When you're 1-3, doubt starts to set in a little bit, you know, and early. And you don't want that.
Well, I may be wrong, but I heard Wesley Deck was gimpy last night too. Their quarterback.
That's a distinct possibility given who they were playing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, Heritage travels to Carnes to take on the Beavers next weekend. Carnes lost to Oak Ridge last night. In fact, they were shut out by Oak Ridge, 41-0.
And they're 0-4.
Yeah.
They're 0-4. This is a must-win game for Heritage next week. I look for them to rebound and beat
should.
Carnes next
They
week.
should. Yeah. Let's move on to our friends from just up the street here, up Broadway. Maryville hosted Knox West last night. Tough game for the Rebels.
Which Rebels?
For the
Yeah.
Red Rebels.
The Red Rebels, okay.
The Red Rebels.
Just wanted to be sure.
And that's right. They were playing the Rebels from Knox West. And West, of course, the defending 5A state champs. And always tough to play to Knox West. And West came in, and Maryville played them well. Played them tough. Ended up losing to West 21-14.
2 years in a row now they've lost to West.
Yeah, lost to West 2 years in a row. But 21-14 is respectable.
Yeah.
But you're on the losing end of the scoreboard.
Marcus, it's been a while since they've lost at home, hasn't it? I mean, a regular season game.
Well, I think when we looked it up last night, back-to-back regular season losses from Maryville, this was the first time since 2000. And this was the first time, I think, since 98 that a Knox County team had won at Maryville.
Maryville's 2-2 now.
Yeah.
And next week they take on Science Hill, who beat Union, Virginia last night, 27-6.
I'm not real impressed with Science Hill.
No,
I would be surprised if Science Hill could pull that off.
Marcus, there's a lot of difference between the league that Maryville's playing in and the league that William Blount's playing in.
Yes.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. That league that Maryville's in, you know, it's.
We're going to see.
I think the parity. Now, let me finish here. Let me back up. I think the parity in that league William Blount is in, maybe from top to bottom, maybe a little bit more parity in it. But as far as outstanding teams,
I think
team contenders.
Maryville's top 3 teams are the best 3 teams within the 2 regions.
Yeah.
When you take Maryville, Bradley Central, and
I
Cleveland,
wouldn't argue that.
those three are going to be battling for quarterfinal spots. I don't know if you'll see anybody from Region 1 continue through, but as far as after you get past that, I think there's a lot of parity between the 2. You can throw out Morristown East, but you know the rest of them are pretty comparable.
Listen, I know it's really early, and Charlie, you might want to comment on this. But is there any chance? You know, Maryville's lost top running back. They lost
running back, lost the quarterback.
Yeah.
Lost their senior quarterback.
Are they in danger of maybe not making the playoffs in that tough league this year?
Well, I think the only thing I've noticed about Maryville this year is the offense. Like you're saying, they're missing some key guys, but not scoring points.
No.
They're getting beat 21-14 or whatever. I think that was the same score at Bradley Central, wasn't it?
They did score 50 and 55 a couple of games.
Yeah, against Heritage, the first game.
And that was when they had everybody.
Yeah, right.
But I think Maryville's. I don't think there's a worry. I think they're still in that top 4. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
I think you're right.
I mean, maybe they maybe they lose one and fall to 4, but I don't see them. I really see them beating us 3.
Remember too, they lost 4 games too last year, didn't they? 3 regular season, 1 in the playoff game.
Yeah, but 2 of those were out of district. It was West and Alcoa.
Yeah. So they're not. I don't think they're on an upward trend.
Well,
I kind of agree.
defensively-
They're kind of on a little downward trend, which you don't see
Defensively, I
in
like
Maryville.
Maryville, though. I like
This
Maryville's
is-
defense.
this
They're
is-
very, very
From
quick
a
in that
Maryville
secondary.
fan standpoint, this is uncharted territory,
Well, yeah.
especially early when
Well-
you're looking at.
Well, George
It's uncharted
Quarles'
for
first
this
year.
generation of spoiled
Yeah.
Maryville fan.
Yeah.
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 Let's remember that Maryville has not always been this way just because it seems like that. I mean, we can go back to the 90s, and Maryville was good and played competitive ball, but they weren't, got to make some of these games a little more interesting.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let me hurry on here. Give Marcus plenty of time. Seymour versus Gibbs last night, a region game. Yeah, I know, Marcus. I'm sorry. Sorry to have to do this to you. Gibbs spanked Seymour 48-0.
Oh,
And
But let me give a shout out, Donnie.
go ahead, Marcus.
It was horrific, and there was nothing I can say was good about it, except former principal Bruce Wilson, who was the principal when I was there, posted some Facebook pictures. The new inflatable helmet, the new field house in the background, the way they've redone that with the junior high school being added to the campus, looks fantastic.
good.
That entire end of the stadium looks 100% better, so kudos to Sevier County Schools for making that happen.
Wonderful. Okay. Seymour goes to Anderson County next year, so it doesn't get any easier for the Eagles. Another region game. Anderson County beat Fulton last night 50-14. So
Tough years for the Eagles.
it is. It's tough times for them right now. TKA at Lenoir City last night. And Lenoir City beat up on TKA 35-0. Next week, Kings Academy goes to Knoxville Grace, who lost to CAK 50-29 last night.
That was bad.
Yeah, it was.
CAK looked good, and Grace, I think, threw 3 interceptions in the second quarter.
Wow.
I think 2 of them were returned for touchdowns.
3 picks. 2 of them pick sixes, huh? Okay. But anyway, that's how that goes. And then the game that we have already talked about a little bit, William Blount hosted Morristown East last night, a region game. And William Blount out-dueled the Hurricanes 45-35. And next week, William Blount goes to West Ridge, and that's up in Sullivan County, right?
That's the consolidation of the Sullivan Directionals.
Yes. Okay.
a team they haven't beat yet. They're 0-2
Yeah,
against
that's
them, I
true.
believe.
So,
Yeah.
but they go to West Ridge, which is another region game.
It's a region game, and
William
this
Blount.
is the prove yourself game.
Yeah, it should be.
There's a lot of doubt because of who William Blount has beaten.
Mhm.
They're 4-0, but this will be a test game because
Yeah.
if you want to break into the top tier, you've got to win this one.
You know, I know
Yeah.
we've mentioned that the 4 wins, the teams they've played are 1-14. But Carnes beat William Blount pretty handily last year, and Morristown East kicked the tar out of them.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think Charlie
60.
was 62-7 or
That's
something
who
like that.
it was.
So,
Absolutely, yeah.
Listen, there's no doubt about it. This is a much improved football team,
Oh, yeah.
and
No-
William
no
Blount's
question.
quarterback. We talk about quarterbacks, got to have a quarterback. Charlie Cortez doing the job over there for William
No,
Blount.
he looked really
great night last night for
Yeah.
him. We
Yeah,
need
he
to
did.
mention that.
No,
What do you have? 6 touchdowns?
I think
Is
so.
that-
he runs. I mean, very impressive. I mean, he just he does
Yeah.
it all for him.
He
And
does.
no team has ever, if I'm correct, with I guess Stan or somebody said last night in the broadcast, no William Blount team has ever been 5-0. So this would be a first if they would win that
Yeah,
game
the
next week.
best start was the one that got spoiled in that Maryville game.
Yeah,
in
4.
07
Yeah, the 4-1.
in 07 with the PAT that was too high.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, or reportedly. There's
Mike
some
Singh.
question about that.
Mike Singh on his
The
call,
history
wide
book,
right.
The history book says it was too high.
Yeah, you're right about that. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that for the Mandy B Street Realty Local Scoreboard. You're listening to WKCE 105.1 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. And now we're going to pass it over to our veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons and our friend for his feature, Mark It Down.
Well, thanks, Donnie. It's a good segue as always.
Thank you.
They've been patient and waiting, and now we have Eagleton in football in the house. Following their first win in program history last night, you mentioned the score 21-18 over West Green. Coach, congratulations on the win. I know you would have preferred to have this one off your back the opening week.
Sure.
But to get it at home had to be kind of special and reward that crowd that came out there last night.
No doubt. These kids have worked their tails off, so it was cool to see the community, everybody there. It wasn't the opener. We had a huge crowd last Thursday and a lot of people in the community. Obviously, we wanted to get it done, played well enough. I thought we played well enough to win. But coming out last night, I feel like I can breathe, get this huge relief, get that first one out of the way, and now we're 1-0 in region. And that was kind of the message all week. Let's get to 1-0. That's all that matters. So here we are.
Well, you brought two of the heroes with you. And I know this team is very, very centric on we and not any individuals. But go ahead and introduce these guys and give us a little bit
quarterback, free safety, Nate Clemmer, and then kind of a utility player for us in Lane Cope. Probably top 3 receiver for us. Played receiver all spring, all summer. Moved him to running back, and now he's getting 20 carries a game. Defensively, he was like an outside linebacker, nickel kind of player, and now he's playing Mike linebacker. So kind of a utility guy for us. Sacrifice, again, back to the whole it's about us, it's not about me mentality. So that's who I brought with us today.
Well, offense is what we're going to talk about, and these guys had a great role last night. But defensively, I kind of want to open this. West Green brings that wing tee, but they also drop out of that wing tee.
Right.
We talked about this a little bit earlier in the week when I visited with you, but it's hard enough to prepare for the wing tee, but it's also even more difficult when they can drop out of it and go to that three set with 3 receivers. Were you trying to force them out of the wing tee? Because I don't think they got to run it but one drive in the second half.
No, I mean, you got to be smart with what you put on kids' plates, right? So we knew this is what they're going to do. Let's put more in the box. Well, if they get out of it, we can't just start changing all the coverages on these kids, right? We got to work one thing and try to be sound. So a fan looking at the game, well, they're not guarding slants. Well, we didn't want to change a bunch of stuff. So we stayed in, we called it Buffalo package. We put heavies on the field. Let's stop this wing tee. And then athletically on the perimeter, I trust my guys, let's lock up man and make them throw the ball down the field consistently, which is not what they want to do, right? So luckily we were able to contain that or to stop that when it mattered. Yes, I don't know what the stat line was, but we gave up some yards. But at the end of the day, we didn't break,
I looked. You gave up yards rushing the ball, but the bulk of it came second half on their second scoring drive where they drove it like 80 yards and took 14 minutes.
Gave them 30 yards.
Everything, but every play on that series was 2 yards, 3 yards. It wasn't like they broke any big gains against your defense.
Right, and we gave. We had two bad penalties, not called, but we had 2 stupid penalties that, you can't do that. We got to be smart. I don't necessarily agree with both, but we got to be smart defensively. We can't give the ball away offensively, and you can't do stupid things defensively and give 15-yard penalties or give a 10-yard penalty or pass interference, So you got to get better at those things, be smarter.
Well, talking about that defense, I want to talk to you about quarterback, but I want to talk about safety first. Mm-hmm. If I'm not mistaken, you put in a pretty good lick on the West Green quarterback.
Yeah, I thought I did. I came downhill one time, and I got him pretty good. I was pretty excited about that.
He wasn't. He was not real thrilled about it. I always love it in that part of 1A, 2A, 3A ball where you can see the quarterback on playing defensively and he gets a lick on the other quarterback. It always kind of lights somebody up. One of the plays that really stood out, and I think may have turned this game at the end, you all forced the fumble where they're starting to drive back trying to answer. Have y'all figured out who caused that fumble yet? We know who jumped on it.
I believe it was Caleb Click that came in. He got off a block, and I think he dove, hit the guy in the legs, and somebody may have popped it out or something that I didn't see. But as far as I know, he was the one that caused it.
Well, it popped out, and Lane, you jumped right on it.
Yes, sir.
And it wasn't close. It wasn't at your feet. You had to cover some distance to get to it. Is that a little like practice with fumble drills during the summer that get that reaction?
Yeah, I would say it was.
Coach, you got to be kind of – I'm going to ask you how did you feel about it, because that's you see that from the sideline, and you've got to be like, oh, that was great.
Right. Obviously, any turnover that you can create is what you're trying to do defensively. Ball on the ground, everybody screaming ball, and then you see a wrestler that's used to diving, right? So seeing him dive on the ball and get up and be amped and excited it was fun to see, and that's what you want. That's what you're trying to create on defense. So you want to add anything to that?
No,
He's smiling like he wants to. So let's talk about the run game, Lane. You gave a lot of credit to your line last night and to the blocks that were going on, but the one that's going to stand out, and I think people are going to ask you about when you're coach's age, it's 4th and 1. You go into a pile, and everybody is in the pile, and you're coming out the other side, and nobody seemed to even notice. What did you see come? I mean, could you even see that you were breaking free, or were you just surrounded by bodies when you hit that thing?
It was just a really big hole. Like, once I got through the line, there was no one in front of me.
Because I thought you were going to the retaining pond. I thought you were going to just keep on going across the track because there was nobody out there. And I think it was a 32-yard run and it pretty much sealed the game for you guys. When you get in the end zone, do you stop and realize, man, that's my 3rd touchdown?
I realized it once I turned around and seen everyone cheering.
It makes life easier on the quarterback when you got a running back that can do that for you.
Oh, yeah, man. It's nice just being able to hand that ball off and just see him take off. I'm just sitting back there in the backfield relaxing.
You had a run yourself where you kind of pinballed a little bit. That drive didn't pan out. It set up your next scoring drive, but I think you bounced off. I think we kind of bounced off 3 and left 2 in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of determination to try to get to the end zone on that one.
Yeah, I'd say that. And some of the West Green kids didn't have the best form tackles, but yeah, I mean, I just wanted that one. I thought I was going to make it all the way to the end zone too. I was a little upset I came up short, but man, it's a big run.
You had a couple receivers that made big plays for you. Can you brag on them a little bit? Because you had 2 or 3 that were making some pretty good plays, bringing down the balls where you put them to them and picking them up when they were a little low. Oh,
yeah, our receivers have come a long way, not only just like from the summer, but really from week 1 to week 4. We got to the point where I have a lot of trust in them. I know if I don't have to be perfect with it, and they can still make a big play. Like Colton Relation came up with some big plays. He gets a lot of yards after the catch, too. And Willard King with a lot of catches. And I thought we had a good game last night.
Coach, we appreciate the win. We got to realize how far you've come from 3 years ago.
Right.
Talk a little bit about how these guys have come along from freshman year to now.
It's wild. From going, like, logistically, I mean, walking to Eagleton Ballpark from campus to practice to now being in the facilities that we're grateful and blessed to have. It's so hard, like you and I have talked about it, it's so hard to replicate high school football. It's hard to get in shape. It's hard to be in that game shape. You're going to cramp week 1, week 2, right? Like those things are just practice and schedule and how you're going to get into a game week. But like take it a step further, and everything's different for this program because we played on Mondays, right? Like we didn't watch film of opponents. They didn't know what film study was. We watched film of ourselves. We watched film of practice, but we haven't watched opponents. So the transition and just the operations of the program is obviously huge. But in these kids, what they've sacrificed is impressive. You know, we talk about payday, like Fridays are payday. Let's go get paid. You've put all this work, and normally that's week to week. these kids have played 3 or 4 varsity football games after sacrificing 3 years, right? So it's cool to see what has transpired, what has happened, and the transformation that we've seen in these kids is awesome. You know, they're all in. It's been fun to see and grow.
I hope you all can hang around for just a minute. We're going to take a commercial break and come right back. Mike, you want to go ahead and let us flip the page, and we'll follow up with Eagleton in just a moment.
Very good. Time to turn the page, and next up will be the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality.
Wow.
For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the Goatee Sports Page Player of the Week segment, sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority, proudly serving Blount County for over 75 years. Marcus Fitzsimmons, I'm going to turn it back over to you for some more Eagleton football.
Eagleton's staying with us, and that's great because, I mean, Player of the Week, we'd give this to the whole Royal Nation for the effort last night for that win. And Coach, I'm going to come back to you with one of the key things in this game. It's 21-18. You've got 3 touchdowns apiece. Do you wake up this morning and say, thank God I have a kicker? Because that's the difference. It's 3 missed extra points because you hold the West Green, they fail in a run, they fail on a pass, and they fail on a kick.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's 3 phases of the game, right? And having a kicker, having special teams where you're not having to go for 2, obviously that's huge. And you're not chasing points. You know, if you could be 3 for 3 on touchdowns, PATs, you're not chasing points. And on the last night, West Green was chasing points. So having to go for 2, or you don't want to have to do those things. So having a kicker and not call it automatic, but be able to kick it through the uprights, have an opportunity to do that, and be confident that he can do that is an asset.
Lane does everything else. Can he kick too?
Can you kick, Lane?
I haven't tried yet.
You haven't tried?
He probably could, though.
I'll have to find out.
That's how they found out Cortez could punt. They just went and asked him and had him try it.
Go punt this thing.
Yeah. So we got to look ahead now, and I think that's what most teams want to do. Is appreciate the win, move on. You got to. We mentioned earlier Alcoa went to Greenville, but you all have a real road trip next week. You're going to Happy Valley, which I think is go up to 26, go to Elizabethton, and turn right, and when the gravel ends, you're there.
That's about right. I mean, you can be on Happy Valley and look down on Elizabethton. I mean, it almost borders.
You're almost in North Carolina. You're very, very close. I think you're closer to Banner Elk than you are to Johnson City at that point. But that's a part of this region, the way they've got the TWSA has it structured now. You've got these long road trips for region games. You got the win. What do you have to do with these guys this week to get them ready for Happy Valley?
Obviously enjoy it. You get the weekend to enjoy it. Told them yesterday, last night, show up to work on Monday, and they're going to do that. Nate would be a great person to ask because we've already talked about that. Yeah, it starts in region play. That's when it matters. Yes, you want to win non-region games, obviously, but this is when it matters. Like everything that we've talked about, everything we want to do is still in our grasp. Like we want to host a playoff game. You got to finish top 2 in the region to do that, and we're 1-0 in the region. So let's go to work and let's do what we set out to do.
Well, he put you on the spot, Nate. So what do you feel good? What does the team feel good about going into this week?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we got a win last night, so we got a little bit of momentum to carry off of. But one thing I'm really happy of is just our defense, the way they've been coming along lately. Like they held Oneida to 14 points, but we really just got to get it going on offense. We had a brand new offensive coordinator come in. We had all new schemes and stuff, so we've been trying to pick it up. And we're young, which I think we showed that a little bit in the first 2 weeks, but in these last 2 weeks, I think we've shown that we're maturing and that we really got a chance to do good in the region.
Lane, do you feel a difference? Do you feel like you guys are walking a little different and talking a little different now that you've actually played 4 games this way, and you feel the difference from where you were, say, in July?
Yes, sir. I think we all have got a good bond together. We've all became good friends, and we're starting to understand each other and come together.
Coach, one thing, with the new school, and it's been a while since we've had a new school start in East Tennessee where you've got a new high school that was not a consolidation of other schools. And I don't think we've seen it since maybe Pigeon Forge back in 2000 when they opened. But they did that the same way where they didn't just throw a bunch of kids in. It was like they started a freshman class and they were started going through an empty school for a couple of years before they had enough classes. Does that kind of create a special kind of situation for these guys because there is all this space and it's just them for a while there where they kind of just are the only people running around?
Right. It's been great in certain aspects. The thing that we have seen and we've talked and we've tried to model is they were 8th graders at Eagleton, top dogs. Everybody remembers 8th grade, right? And then there were 9th graders, the oldest kid in the school. Then there were sophomores, Now they were the oldest kids in school. Now they're juniors, and there's not been any peer-led like role model or leadership. They didn't have senior leadership, so it's been cool that I've been fortunate, blessed enough to be there for that whole transition. But trying to get kids to lead these younger guys, to lead this middle school program, to lead these freshmen. Now I have juniors that we've been working with in what is leadership, what does that look like, and so that's cool. But when you start varsity athletics on a 2-year cycle, it was either go play varsity football with no seniors or wait 2 more football seasons, and that's not feasible. So yeah, I mean, we knew the obstacles. We knew that this was going to be a journey, but we're ready for it. We wanted it. So.
Well, I'm gonna put both these guys on the spot now, because this is an important question. Because Coach just opened the door with talking about leadership. You all are setting all the traditions that the Eagleton program is going to carry. I'm going to give you a B last night on the post-game victory celebration and knowing how to do that. So critique yourselves. What does Eagleton need to do post-game to properly celebrate a win? How do y'all need to make that better?
Well, I mean, I don't know. There's some things you could have done. There's one time where we went in the locker room and celebrated, and then we came back out on the field after going in the locker room. I think that was something that maybe like a miscommunication or something. I ran back out there to grab my towel that I had left on the field, and then everybody just kind of came out there, and I was like, I don't know what we're doing, and it kind of got a little messed up. That's something we could definitely work on.
Well, I was going to give you points for that. I was going to kind of let that slide. The thing that the water boys had to dunk Coach, and they got him with water bottles.
And it's done. We're not ever doing it again. The first is over. The first is over.
That's the part you really need to work on. Is Coach is way too dry after this game.
Yeah.
Does he even know who you know who it was? Don't you?
Tell
him who it was.
It was my little brother and Willard King's little brother. I think that did it.
2 of our middle school kids, and
just came out of the student section down
there. Well,
there.
the problem is they're not tall enough to get it all the way up above his head, so he got most of it right directly on the back. But I will give them, they are sneaky.
The runt.
They were very sneaky, and they were very perceptive because they circled around
you
wide.
You set me up.
Well, I didn't set you up. I didn't set you up, but I did see them circling wide and coming in from behind, and I was not going to give you a clue.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me back.
It would have been nice to have some high school players that could have got it up there, but we got a little carried away with the win. We missed an opportunity.
Well, I'm going to give you homework. Y'all need to think about how you want to do that next time you win at home, how you want to do and know what you want to do. Lead those freshmen and sophomores in because what you do this time, just like what you're doing on the field, is going to be what the guys 10 years behind you are going to be doing. So
y'all were talking about before the game, we wanted to start at 7. Then Lightning was within 10 miles. The rule is 10 miles. So we had a lightning strike. So the earliest we could go out was 6:22. So first group was supposed to go out at 6:08. So we didn't technically get delayed, but in that process, the band's carrying around metal. So, you can't have the band out there in a lightning. Coach Paleo on that one.
Yeah, we did notice the delay, and still figuring some things out. The new public address announcer last night did a really good job, but coordinated some things and got that pregame going. But congratulations on the win, Coach. Guys, we'll hope to have you back a couple more times, especially I think you can get some more wins on the board.
Let's do it.
But thanks for getting up, especially if you teenagers on a Saturday morning. You've got better places you'd rather be than talking to us on the radio, so we appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
And, Mike, I guess we'll go ahead and turn the page.
Okay, Marcus, it's time for a break, and when we return, it's Sports Headlines with Blount County Hall of Famer Donnie Moore and the Boyd Sports Spotlight. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply.
Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
Hit a grand slam with Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union to win big on savings. On first, member managed funds account. On second, free spend account. On third, certificate accounts with competitive savings rates. Load your bases at tvacreditunion.com.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Must use e-statements for no fee option. Some restrictions may apply. Ask for details.
The Bluetick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Bluetick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Bluetick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service. For over 50.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, and it's time for this week's sports headlines with Donnie Moore. Donnie, we've been going with local sports. Let's turn the page and talk about some things that's going on across the country. Huh?
Yeah, let's expand our horizons just a little bit. All right. Well, although many say that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, I said many, I didn't say all, he is not the highest paid one. To find that signal caller, one has to go to Ohio and look for one Joe Burrow, who just signed off on a 5-year deal with the Cincinnati Bengals worth a whopping $275 million. With over $219 million of that guaranteed.
Which is big difference for football.
I'm telling you.
They're starting to guarantee stuff.
They sure are. That makes Burrow the highest paid player in National Football League history.
What, over $50 million a year, probably?
Can you believe that?
Yeah. And
that's a lot of money.
And without a Super Bowl. Hasn't won a Super Bowl yet.
He went to the Super Bowl. Got beat.
Yeah,
he didn't get it.
Good grief. That's more money than I can even comprehend. Yeah. You know, that's more money than the gross national product of some countries.
It's wild. What's it breakdown? I wish we had a breakdown for how many he gets for every pass completion.
For every pass completion or every pass thrown.
At $250 million.
Oh, my goodness.
Could we not get a Joe Burrow segment on the sports page?
We
Maybe
need
have
to,
him, have him
he's
throw us some some
We
money.
could say, let her rip, Joe Burrow.
Right. We need to give him a call.
He's almost getting up there in the Brian Johnston classification.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding. And speaking of high dollar pay, Tom Brady isn't coming out of retirement to play this season, but is joining Fox Sports Network for the 2024 season, alongside play-by-play broadcaster Kevin Burkhardt. Brady will replace color commentator Greg Olson and has inked a 10-year, $175 million contract with Fox Sports.
That's not all. He inked another one yesterday. He inked with Delta.
Yeah, I saw that too.
He's going to be part of their. He's a special consultant and will be doing some of their employee training.
Yeah, he's doing that this season,
as well as doing some videos for
Delta Airlines.
Delta
Airlines. Yeah, he's
and
doing that this season. In the meantime, before
his
he goes
best
with
his best
Fox.
performance, probably of the week, was on the Manning cast.
The auditions.
The auditions for the Manning cast.
You know, he's still got to prove to me that he's got that, Peyton Manning advertising.
Got that charisma.
Yeah, because he's to me, he's kind of blah. I mean, I don't
You
see.
know, he's just not there until he gets like Peyton and gets on as a teacher somewhere. You know, a high school job for a stint or a college or something. Until he gets to that category, Charlie, I can't see him.
Marcus brought up that Manning cast. Did you see that audition thing that they did? It's a riot. You got to pull it up. It may be the funniest thing out there right now. It really is.
It's the fake auditions for the third person.
I
in
mean,
the Manning cast.
Reese Witherspoon. They had Mike Tyson was on there. Oh, it was a riot.
Oh, they must have had 30 guests on there. You could see how popular they are because they didn't have any problem finding people.
Well, like Greg Olson went by the wayside.
Yeah, they got rid of
signed
him quick.
For 10 years.
Yeah.
So,
I don't Brady, I don't know.
But is it guaranteed? Like, I mean, if he gets on there and develops a speech impediment, can they cut him, or is it guaranteed money?
I don't know whether it's guaranteed or not. Probably not. I hope not, anyway.
And what happens if he decides to come back again?
Come back out of retirement? Well, has to give the money back?
I guess he does.
Alternate broadcasts every week and on the field for the other
Yeah, when he's not playing, he's broadcasting.
Yeah. Charlie, you got a comment on this one. Right. Washington Nationals pitcher Steven Strasburg had been officially scheduled to retire today with a big press conference at Nationals Park and a uniform retirement ceremony penciled in for next year. Instead, the Nats informed Strasburg on Thursday of this week that would not take place. The original agreement was that he would retire with his 7-year, $245 million contract intact and still be owed $105 million to be paid through the year 2029. The Nats told Strasburg's agent, Scott Boras, they had changed their mind with no explanation whatsoever. Now, Nats general manager Mike Rizzo said, and this is a quote, he signed a 7-year deal. He's got 3.5 years left on the deal, and he'll get paid for those years on the deal until he makes a decision on what his future is going to be.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it almost sounds like they want to make him go to spring training, make him try to keep coming back. I mean,
they still gave him his locker. He's still got access to the locker room and training facilities. And, they just like he's still a member of the team.
It's like
are they concerned that he's
But he can't pitch.
No.
Are they concerned that he's like going to do a Brady and like he's going to retire and then play for somebody else?
He's got so many problems.
He can't. He's got health problems out the wazoo.
That's why it doesn't make any sense.
They're putting their foot down to a guy that they don't need to put their foot down with. I mean, the third baseman that went from the Nationals to the Angels signed a huge contract. I forget his name. The guy hasn't played a lick for the Angels. I mean, he gets a hangnail, he's out.
Yeah,
he
can't play.
And he's collecting. I can see them doing to a guy like that who's really just taking their money. But this guy has had shoulder surgery, elbow, Tommy John.
Yeah,
I mean, he's tried to come back.
He has.
I think they're putting their foot down with the wrong guy.
I do too.
I mean, if they wanted to put their foot down, they could have done that before they sent their other star to the Mets a couple of years ago.
His arm's shot.
Sure, yeah. I don't get it. I don't know what they're up to. I mean, Here's a guy that ought to give him his money and see you later.
Yeah, no kidding.
This is an organization that has room to screw around with stuff like this. I mean, they just don't. They've just not been in D.C. that long under this name with this ownership group.
You would think over the years, we go back all the way to when they started free agency, and a guy named Wayne Garland signed a 5-year deal or whatever, $1 million contract with the Indians, one of the first free agents in history.
You're right.
Never pitched an inning for the Indians, got hurt. You would think general managers in baseball would finally figure out you don't give long-term contracts to pitchers. I hate to say that because I wish I had gotten one years ago.
Yeah, really.
But you shouldn't do it because of the injury problem, and you're just giving money away, you know. But they do it, and now for some reason now they're trying to make Strasburg an example, I guess.
I know, really, and I don't know why. I don't know why they're picking on him. But
there's a World Series MVP for him, everything.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he's got all kinds of laurels.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to remain a member of the team. Yeah. Anyway.
Collect this check every year. Show up in spring training, collect your check, and then go home. That's it.
Yeah, I guess so. Well,
why do you give up? Why do you give up a? That means you've got to give up a roster spot for him.
Yeah, 40-man spot.
You've got to give your 40th spot to somebody who's never going to play.
Well, that's why they're in last place, I guess, too, right now. They've gone downhill real fast.
They sure have. Mike, this article ought to interest you. 4-time Olympic gymnastics champion Simone Biles said in an interview Thursday that she is working to compete in next summer's Paris Olympics. She said she wants to be sure she is both mentally and physically intact. Biles returned to competition last month for the first time since the Tokyo Olympics, where she was forced to withdraw one event into the team final after anxiety resulted in a case of
the twisties.
The twisties.
The twisties.
That's, right, the twisties.
That's an oldie but goodie. The
it
twisties.
is.
Tell you
yeah,
what, now
forgot about
that,
the twisties.
That event she was in there about a week or so ago that was on TV. She nailed it.
She looked really good,
yes,
didn't
sir. I don't know whether the twisties just come around for the Olympics. I don't know when you get the twisties, but that's the first I've bet. Charlie, you ever heard of the twisties? I've never heard of it.
We all had a bout of the twisties that year.
Yeah, we did.
Every time we played Kentucky, I had the twisties, or Vanderbilt, or some of those teams, and there was probably some guys you pitched against.
No,
the
Houston Astros gave me a severe bout of the twisties.
You got it. She does a
But that was legitimate, Charlie, because that was where you had to twist your neck to watch that ball go out of the park.
That's the truth. Your neck gets twisted.
She does a move that no other female gymnast or male gymnast has even ever attempted, and she does it successfully. I don't remember what it's called.
Half twisty.
She's good.
But you know why she's currently coming back? She sees this little girl who's the one from LSU that's making like all this money, the gymnast. She was on the Manning cast thing too. I don't know her name.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
She's making a ton of money off of NIL, and good for her because she's probably going to be. But she's not Olympic caliber. I mean, she's 20 years old.
Yeah, I know.
If you're going to the Olympics, you're not.
But her name's. Yeah, Simone Biles' name is not in the news every day like it was.
This girl's raking it in. I mean, she's getting all kind of money.
She's giving a marketing class in how to leverage your NIL.
Yeah. Donnie, I get the twisties every Saturday. I come in here. I don't know whether we're going to go on time or not. I had the twisties really bad this morning. I didn't know whether we were ever going to.
The twisties are nasty. You don't want the twisties. You
don't want the twisties.
There's no age discrimination on them.
No,
it doesn't matter how old
9
you are.
to 99, you get them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The twisties.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a T-shirt right there.
Yeah.
Where's Brian?
Yeah, we need the twisties.
Yeah.
The twisties T-shirt.
Well, look, fortunately, we can go to goatees with some of our ideas.
That's
so
it.
The goatees sports page twisties.
That's it.
Can we have one that says avoiding the twisties since 1978?
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
We can do it.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle Larson found his way to the front of the pack with 55 laps remaining in the Southern 500 Sunday night and liked where he was, so he just stayed there for his first career win at Darlington Raceway. Tyler Reddick took second. Chris Buescher finished third. This weekend's playoff racing action is at Kansas Speedway, Mike.
Out west.
Yeah,
that's
out
oval.
west.
That's the oval out there, and
Joe Namath.
second round.
Oh my.
Second round of
second round of the playoffs.
Yeah,
we're already in it.
Yeah, and IndyCar wraps up today out at Sonoma.
it
They're
does.
done. Alex Palou won the championship, and he's staying with Chip Ganassi, and there's been already all kinds of driver changes and so forth.
There have.
Talk about that maybe on another show, but
We can do that.
They end their season. Formula One, they're still rocking, and they'll be coming to Las Vegas later on here, I think, in October. So their season has been extended too. So Formula One's kind of gotten like NASCAR. They've got a lot of events now that they didn't once have.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll get them all in before it snows. Who knows? Huh?
You never know.
You never know.
That's true. Well, that's it for this week's sports headlines. Now let's bring the Boyd Sports Spotlight into focus. Back to you, Gunner.
And now the Boyd Sports Spotlight shines on today's college football schedule. I'm Mike Edwards, and we're going to bring in Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Charlie Paleo is with us here this morning. And there's some exciting games across the country. But before we get to those, let's talk a little bit about the big stories that happened last week, Charlie. And I'll start with you. TCU, number 17, ranked last week, feeling real good after their run, even though they got shellacked in the championship game by Georgia, 60-some to 7 last year. But they took on prime time Colorado last week. Not very many people, and we talked about this, not many people knew about Colorado because he basically got rid of the roster. And they had all these transfer people come in there. Be hard to prepare for them, not knowing what they've got or anything. And Colorado went out there, a 28-point underdog, and beat TCU 45-42. I'm telling you, Colorado offensively, they look pretty stout.
They really did. I mean, they have stolen the spotlight in college football from the likes of Alabama and Notre Dame and Ohio State and all these, and Tennessee. I mean, it's all about Colorado now. And this, I'm sure they're sold out in Boulder today for that Nebraska game. There'll be a huge crowd. I mean, they have got the light shining on them right now, and they've earned it. That was a heck of a game last week.
Yeah, sure. And if they beat Nebraska today and pick up a couple more wins, I say we all get some chains and put around the neck here at the sports page. Get us some gold chains
with our twisty T-shirt and our prime time
stuff. Yeah.
I see
then
Brian's over there taking notes, guys.
He
I can see
he's
him
shaking his
scribbling
head.
away.
Yeah, he's got the calculator running. He's up to about $1,000-$1,200 right now on stuff.
Well, we've got to finish paying off William Blunt with all that free gear from last year's awards before we can move on with our stuff.
Yeah. Hey, at number 8, Florida State over number 5, LSU. I don't know that was really a surprise because both of them were ranked in the top 10, but LSU had all these high expectations, and maybe this was their year to break into the playoffs and maybe challenge for a national championship. And Florida State pretty well put that awry, 45-24. If it was a close game, went down to the wire, there wouldn't. But 45-24, Brian Kelly and LSU got to be scratching their heads, Marcus, a little bit on that. Huh?
Well, Mike, I'm going to give you a little bit of reprieve from Troy here because it forces me to ask, maybe it wasn't Notre Dame, maybe it's Brian Kelly.
Yeah, we talked about this when he was at Notre Dame. He'd have this great year, and the next year it was like downer.
But it was always like this one game. There was always like something, and it was like
exactly.
It was either bad starts or horrible finishes, or there was always something with him at Notre Dame. And with everybody's focus, and you've got all this going for you, and just went out there and laid an egg.
Right.
Usually the biggest game of the year, too.
Got taken to the woodshed, that's for sure.
Well, the good part, they found out early. They've got a lot. They got the rest of the season to figure it all out. It's not like you lost in the 9th or 10th week of the season, but it sort of looked like the Tennessee game last year. Where Tennessee just went down there and just dominated them. In Baton Rouge.
I thought Florida State did some things very well that also were very reminiscent of what Tennessee did last year.
Yeah.
I think they took, I'm not saying they copied the playbook, but I think they took some notes on what worked against LSU last year.
Yeah. Florida State's one of those programs, Donnie, that's sort of like Tennessee. Mike Norvell went through a situation down there early where he was on hot seat.
Yeah.
And their program was really in disarray. as was Tennessee's before we Tennessee turned it around last year. And now both Florida State and Tennessee are riding high. They got real high expectations, as well as a few other teams, but especially these two teams nationally.
Are you coming to the parallel on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
We're going to mention Clemson.
Yeah, Duke and Clemson. That's the other big shocker. Number 9 Clemson getting beat, not just beat. They got annihilated, 28-7 by Duke. Too many mistakes in the red zone. It almost, Charlie, looked like the Orange Bowl last year. They got in the red zone, or not the red zone, but they got it in Tennessee territory, I think, 13 times last year and didn't come away with hardly any points, except maybe a field goal here and a field goal there. And last night, it just looks like they took off where they left off.
Oh, I agree.
Against Duke.
Is this, the big headline, is this the end of the Dabo Swinney run, at Clemson? I mean, are they done? Their offense is done. I mean, their offense since Trevor Lawrence left has been nothing.
Well, if your offense is predicated around having a superb quarterback and then you don't have one, you're in trouble. Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing that would happen if Tennessee were to lose its top 2 quarterbacks. That's where Clemson is as a starter right now.
Yeah, but it's not that they've lost. I mean, they just haven't recruited.
They just haven't brought them in, or they haven't panned out. But
no.
They're in trouble, and I don't think they've adapted their offense to that yet.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the big games today. And if you're talking about big games, you got to talk about number 11 Texas at number 3 Alabama, and Alabama's a 7.5-point favorite going in. That game's at 7 o'clock on ESPN. And Charlie, I would like to think
I can't watch it.
I would like to think that this game has playoff implications right out of the gate, wouldn't you think? I mean, you don't want to lose early, do you? Especially Alabama, with what you got left on your schedule, you just don't want to lose this game.
No, I think it was a big game last year. Like you said, I guess you said that Alabama won at the last second.
Yeah, field goal.
I don't. Texas to me is still not. They're another team that's kind of overhyped, like LSU has been too the last few years, and they lose early and they're out of it. And they may win late, get a little streak going and win late, but I like Alabama. I think they're good. I think they're on the rebound a little bit.
Defensively, I think they'll be better, but they don't have Bryce Young, and he had to do – he did a ballroom dance class back there in the second half last year to bring them back with 3 scores in the fourth.
Well, they've got Jalen Milroy at quarterback, and he's going to be thrown right into the national spotlight. Right, we're going to see where he's at.
We're going to find out a lot about him very quickly
Alabama
today.
quick, but
we're also going to find out something else. What time's that game come on? 3:30.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock tonight.
Prime time.
So if you're like me and Donnie and you can't watch it because it's on ESPN and you're on Spectrum, come on down to Blueticks because they're going to have the games on the TVs and you can get some pizza while you're here.
Come on over to my house. I'll be raising NIL money, and the charge will be $100 a person. We'll fill up the living room.
That's it.
Huh?
That's it. You can watch it. And Alabama, they've got Joe Willie Namath on
Sports.
I mean, how could you pick? How could you pick against Alabama when Namath's in town?
Right.
You can't do that.
Right. You don't want to lose with Joe
No.
Willie there. Number 10 Notre Dame, 7.5-point favorite at North Carolina State. That game's on ABC at 12 noon. And if you've got my networks, I can't
watch that one on DirecTV.
I can't get ABC.
But you can also get that one here at Blueticks if you come on down and watch the game.
They have everything here.
Yeah, so I can't get that game. But Notre Dame, I guess they're looking at their defense being better this year. They've talked about that. They've looked good in their first 2 games, but most of the talk is around their new veteran quarterback, Sam Hartman, who transferred in from Wake Forest and broke all kinds of records there at Wake and ACC records. So they're pretty stout at quarterback, so they feel like they can put up a lot of points. But right around the bend here is Ohio State coming to South Bend. So my question here, this North Carolina State game is no gimme. Is this a trap game for them, looking maybe ahead to Ohio State, Marcus?
I mean, I don't know if that you could argue it that it is. It doesn't fit my definition of one. I mean, you'd be foolish to overlook what you got coming in to play. I mean, it'd be one thing if it was an FCS team, but that's not what we're talking about. I mean, it's not like the Tennessee situation where You could call us a Pia trap game, but it's not.
You know, if you look at the all these betting sites, you know, some of the stuff that's on there, I'll take over for Troy here a little bit, but they're picking that as a prime upset game, North Carolina State over Notre Dame.
I can see that. They've been kind of a thorn in Notre Dame's side, and Notre Dame really hasn't been tested. They played Navy and Tennessee State. So, but I do like their quarterback, Sam Hartman. He's excellent. He's got some good receivers. They're solid at running back. They got a good offensive line. I mean, they got all the tools. And listen, if I know it's early, but if you're looking at their schedule, you know, you're looking at Ohio State and South Bend. They play a top-ranked Southern California team in South Bend. And before Duke beat Clemson last week, they had Clemson in Death Valley over at Clemson, which that could have been a game that, I mean, as far as the national picture, and they do have Duke. They do have Duke on the schedule. And so I don't know, but this is one of the games that a lot of people have circled that if they lose it, it could ruin them. Yeah. It could ruin them. But if they get it, then you're looking at Ohio State and Southern Cal in South Bend. Hey, you know, they could be a noise maker as the season goes along. We'll just wait and see.
They go from games to opportunity games.
Yes,
if you win today.
That's correct. A team that I like, Donnie, Utah. They're down at Baylor today. That game's at 12 o'clock on ESPN, and they will be playing. They're a 7.5-point favorite down there. They look good beating Florida. Utah did.
Yeah, they really
12th,
did.
But Baylor's a tough place to play down there. It's not going to be an easy road for them.
No, it's not.
But heck, Charlie, you talk about the schedule. Here's Utah at number 12. They open against Florida, and they got Baylor on the road. I mean, where are their gimmies and $1 million payoffs?
And their number one quarterback's out again. He's not playing.
Yeah.
So they'll have the same guys that played against Florida.
Yeah.
You know, that first game there, which they didn't do a bad job, but still not that one guy. I forget his name.
Yeah.
Revis or somebody like that.
Yeah. And then Nebraska's at number 22 Colorado. Colorado's a 3-point favorite, 12 o'clock on Fox. Boy, there's a lot of good 12 o'clock games today. You're going to have to be switching stations back and forth if you can get the stations. But Nebraska lost their opener against Minnesota, and the Big Ten has had these Big Ten opening games. You know, there's a lot of teams that didn't have those games in the Big Ten. They opened. Indiana's coach was furious. They beat, I think, Indiana State last night, but they had to open against Ohio State. You know, their first game right out of the gate, and of course Nebraska had to play at Minnesota, and now they got to go to Colorado. And Colorado, I mean, here's two teams that hadn't played any lower tier deals. I mean.
Which is the way. Which is how it should be.
That's the way it. And look who we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Are we talking about Tennessee and Austin Peay today? No, they're not on. They're not even on a network. They didn't even make the SEC network.
I mean, we've all been here, and Coach Trail and Coach Hersman have preached every time. What do you know about your team when you're playing Austin Peay the first game?
Exactly.
You know a lot more if you're playing Ohio State or USC.
Right.
You find out something about, and plus you have something to work towards getting ready for the season.
You don't find anything out about playing Austin Peay and Connecticut in those teams except they cost you money.
Yeah. And you know why that is?
Cost you money.
That's a conference rule. That's a conference rule where the teams have to have at least one of their games streamed instead of broadcast on a network.
It's really
you have to
like today's Tennessee game.
That's what
this is the one that Tennessee chose to have streamed instead of broadcast.
You have to have one home football game and 2 home basketball games that are only streaming on the SEC Plus network.
Yeah. Next year, I'll just throw this in there because I looked it up. But Tennessee will play Chattanooga. They have Chattanooga. They have Kent State. And they have the University of Texas at El Paso. So we got UT at San Antonio this year, and UT Texas at El Paso next year. So we've got them.
Well, Tennessee's getting prepared. They're just getting prepared to play for the Texas State Championship because they're going to be Texas A&M, Texas El Paso, Texas San Antonio.
Yeah,
they form their own league.
They should play in one of those high school stadiums down there in Texas. They can fit 25,000 down there.
No kidding.
Yeah. Texas A&M number 23 at Miami.
Yeah, good
3.5-point favorite for Texas A&M. That's at 3:30 on ABC. Donnie, sorry you can't. You can see that game.
I can get ABC.
What did y'all? Is cable switched around here or something?
Spectrum is in a dispute with the Disney Corporation.
Okay.
for rates.
So
They-
you cannot get ESPN
Spectrum.
or ESPN2 or
Really?
ESPNU or Disney or Discovery or Nat Geo on Spectrum.
Spectrum
Yeah.
has offered them a fair price for those channels, and Disney has countered with an exorbitant price, according to Spectrum.
And as part
so
of this,
they've pulled their channels from Spectrum.
so you can't. Not only can you not
Was
get
that
on your cable,
Comcast? Was that Comcast? Spectrum? I never heard that. around here.
Spectrum is what used to
Charter.
be Charter.
Okay.
so you can't get it on your cable, and if you have the ESPN app, you can't get it because Charter is no longer listed as a cable provider on your list of resources.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're effectively forced to come down to Blueticks and watch the game with us.
That's it.
Marcus, the two coaches that's going in this game have been feeling some heat. Cristobal down at Miami, and of course Jimbo Fisher, and his large buyout at Texas A&M. So this is the game that may get at least one of them off the hot seat a little bit. And I'm really watching this because Tennessee's got Texas A&M at home, and so we'll see that.
Yeah.
We'll see
I
how
think-
this one turns out.
I think Jimbo has to win this because I think Miami is willing to agree that they're just not going to be good this year. I think Miami and Virginia are going to be battling it out as to
You hear
who's
that,
going
Troy?
to be the bottom of the ACC.
Yeah, well, I'd put Virginia there too.
Well, that's what I mean.
Because
Virginia and Miami are going to battle it.
Virginia may get beat today by James Madison. Watch that score.
Oh, gosh.
They
Don't
play
make-
James Madison.
That's
Pretty
not-
good. Pretty
That's
good
not in our
team.
pick'em
That-
segment. We're not closing with that. That's not on our pick'em list,
Well,
is it?
No, it's not on the pick'em list.
Oh, thank goodness.
I don't have any games on the pick'em list today. Sorry. Yeah. Auburn at California. Auburn's a 6.5-point favorite. That game's at 10:30 on ESPN. And U Freeze, they got a big win last week in the opener, and they're going out to California to play. A lot of times SEC teams go out there to California and some of those places to play, and it doesn't turn out so good. But,
Tennessee
I
got
guess the
upset a
time-
few times at
Yeah, it's-
UCLA years ago.
I don't know whether
yeah.
it's a time change or what it is out there, but
Are you gonna who's going to stay up and watch that game?
I don't know.
I don't think. No, I don't think so.
I don't know. What do you think, Marcus? Auburn gets another win out there?
I think it's possible. I mean, they need to. If they don't, then we've already seen what happens when Auburn doesn't win a game that they think they should, and what they can do to a coaching environment in that situation with their alumni. And they really need to avoid setting that situation up again. So, I think Auburn. It's a you wouldn't say it, but it's a must-win game for Auburn, really.
Yeah. Donnie Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt goes to Wake Forest. Wake Forest is a 10-point favorite. That game's at 11 o'clock on the ACC network. That's an early start for the East here. But the big story here is if the Commodores can come out of this game, they'll be halfway to bowl eligibility. They'll be 3-0 if they can come out of this
3-0.
game. I don't look for it, but and Charlie's over here shaking his head.
I think they sink. I think the Commodores are going to sink.
Commodores, yeah, I'd say the Demon Deacons might have something for them over
I
there.
get Angela mad at me, but yeah, I think the anchor's going to be on the bottom of the ocean.
But you know what I like about this one is it's two people mascots.
Yeah.
Because you got the Demon Deacon and then you've got the Commodore, so you could actually. There's no animal rights involved with this game. There's nothing like that.
That's
so
true.
the mascots could get into it.
And it's the same. They got the same colors.
That's
Field
true.
colors
Yeah,
pretty,
yeah.
They
pretty
do.
good. They got the black and
Wake Forest, nice campus
So they
too.
could
I like
actually
that
take
place.
this one back in time and do a black and white game cast of it.
It'd be interesting.
Charlie, number 20 Mississippi against number 24 Tulane, and that game's at 3:30 on ESPN. You know, Tulane was one of those, like Rice, and they were kind of the bottom dwellers.
Weren't they an original SEC team years ago?
Yep.
Am I wrong about that?
They were.
Tulane?
Yeah.
Tulane,
you're right.
And
Tulane
I heard
and Georgia Tech.
And I heard that they had aspirations of trying to get back in too. Yeah.
Well, Mississippi comes into this game at a 7.5-point favorite. Lane Kiffin trying to get things rolling again there at Mississippi after having a devastating finish.
The old
last
mustard
year.
bottle himself.
Oh
huh?
yeah, they
Can't go
They-
against Mississippi though. I like. Yeah, I guess you love or hate Kiffin, but his offense usually comes.
They
he
put a
can
lot of points on the board last week.
Yeah,
you
they
know.
do. They do. You got a quarterback this year? Who's his quarterback? Kiffin. They have Mississippi have a quarterback.
They have one.
Jackson Dart?
I don't know.
Can Jackson Dart his quarterback?
I think both the Mississippis are Ole Miss and Mississippi State both have interesting games, and they both need to take advantage of the chances they're going to get, because you don't really. The conference took a beating last week. It doesn't need to take another beating this week out of conference play.
Yeah. What do you the quarterback situation, in the SEC this year, Charlie, a lot of teams are breaking in new quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And some of the teams that got quarterbacks back, like Spencer Rattler over at South Carolina, they didn't get it done last week.
No,
and
not at all.
I think that's a big story in the SEC to watch these new quarterbacks and see how they pan out.
I think so. League. Probably the big one, and Donnie says he's got to go to break here, but I think the biggest one is that the kid from Alabama. If he plays well, they got a shot. Yeah. So I think it's a big factor right now is the quarterback.
Yeah. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, it's the Bold Predictions segment. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today: call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Welcome back to the Blueticks Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for this week's bowl predictions, and I'll bring back in our panel: Donnie Moore, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Charlie Paleo. I've got some different picks. So, Charlie, I'm going to start with you. The first one: will Tennessee put up 70 on Austin Peay today? Now, we looked at all these scores earlier. What do you think?
Heupel's doesn't seem the type of guy that pulls guys out early. I mean, he lets those guys play. 70, I think they'll get close.
Will they get 70?
Will they get 70?
Yeah.
I have to predict.
Yeah. What are they going to do?
I say no. I say they'll stop at 63.
Marcus?
I'm going to go with what the defense did. They're going to hit 70.
They're going to hit 70?
They're going to hit 70. In fact, I'm going to say they'll hit 73.
No.
They're going to tack on a field goal just to get out there and try one.
Oh, yeah. Donnie?
No 70.
I don't think so either, but I'm a firm believer that it's going to be in the 60s somewhere.
Yeah. The question is, too, though, Coach, will there be 70 people left in the stands
that's
at the end of the game?
No, because
will there be 70 sober people left in the stands?
Well, remember this, because it's going to be disorienting for Tennessee fans, because after they get in the stadium and they've gotten those giant beers, There's going to be
for
that
$12.
There's going to be that little segment over in the corner, visiting stands, shouting "Let's go P." That can be confusing to fans.
Yeah. Well, that's the second one that I've got. Will Neyland Stadium, Donnie, and I'll start with you. Will it be half full at the end of the game? Half full.
Do we count it as in the stands or in the stadium? Because I think a lot of them could be in the bathroom.
We're not going to count players and
no, I mean, but if they're in the bathroom, does that count?
Will it be half full? Yeah, it'll be half full.
You think so?
Yeah.
Half full at the end of the game?
Yeah, half full.
Marcus.
It'll be half full. Because
No.
someone won't be able to make it out.
No, I'm going to tell you why. The forecast is not looking good.
Yeah, it's supposed to rain.
If we get the rain, the fans are going to leave.
Charlie.
I agree. I think there'll be. Put it this way: if I was at that game, I'd be gone after halftime.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't think.
We're just hoping they don't throw you out because of lightning.
I don't. Think
Yeah, I don't want to get struck by lightning
that.
and have to sit through a delay.
I don't think it'll be half full after the half. I think they're going to head out for supper at the half.
Yeah, they're going to be at the Copper Cellar down there at about 7:15.
Okay.
Well, all of them are on Spectrum, so they've got to go down there and watch the Alabama game on the bar on the Strip.
They don't want to do that.
Marcus, this game's streamed, okay? How soon will announcers start talking about next week's Florida game in the Swamp?
That's a good one.
First quarter?
Game
Second
starts
quarter?
at 5.
Third quarter?
Okay, you want
fourth
the quarter. Okay.
Yeah. That's your prediction.
Oh, we're not getting through pregame. It'll be in the pregame. They'll be playing. Is this a trap game? Could Austin Peay pull the upset because Tennessee's looking ahead at Florida?
Yeah.
Pregame.
My Lord, mercy, Charlie.
I think they'll be showing Tennessee, Florida highlights in the second quarter.
Yeah. Donnie.
I'm going to say first quarter.
Yeah. I'm saying in the opening remarks. Huh?
Mike's with me, pregame.
The opening remarks, you've got to say something about
early.
Yeah, early.
It was 28-0 in the first quarter. They've got to go to something.
Okay, this is a little bit tougher right here. This is the last one we're going to talk about on Austin. Will the highlight of the Austin Peay game be the vol walk or the team running through the tee? The vol walk or the team running through the tee. Now I'm thinking about. I've seen all these people, and they said, "Hey, I'm bringing my daughter or my son to the game for the first time." Well, you know what's going to be most exciting: watching the team run through there, the tee, or we got to get there for the ball walk. Which one of them, Donnie?
It's going to be the band's performance at halftime.
What do you think?
I'm going to go with Vol Walk. That first one of the year. Now that's where you get some of the kids that have never seen it.
Right.
I like the running through the tee. I think that's the best.
Like
one of the best.
Tradition.
One of the best things I've seen in college football. Maybe the best when they do that. And
that
that's where they just
I mean,
kind of electric.
When you were in school, they came out the middle, didn't they? They came
came out to the middle.
They came out the 50-yard line and ran
correct.
through the tee.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when I was there, they were coming out the south end of the stadium.
And they were located.
And now they're coming out the north end of the
Yeah.
stadium.
This side. Seton Hall, we didn't have that much. We couldn't run through anything up there. Run through a hallway. That's about it.
Well, you all had to run through that big S in Syracuse.
Yeah.
And people kept getting lost.
Instead of having all those people, what about next Saturday? You know, when they're trying to get all this money, how about forming some type of tee, and letting these people pay a little extra to run through the tee. Maybe have the band playing on the intercom or whatever.
Well, you think for $100 they let you run through it?
And I don't know how many people they're going to have over there, but what if they have 2,500 people or 2,000 people, and they pay the top billing, the top price, and they get to run through the tee onto the field? And they could have a replica, Smokey. Surely they got more than just one Smokey that they could bring over there for next Saturday.
His double.
There's got to be a double in case one of them gets sick or something.
So you're saying bring in the JV band.
That's it.
The JV cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And then take their picture as they run through the tee at the top, and then get a check from them for another $100 to give them their
pay
picture.
a recording like it's football time in Tennessee, and they run through the tee and they lay down.
Do they actually have to run through the tee, or can they ride like little scooters or something?
No, just make it to the end.
It depends on how much money you're giving. I mean, if you're on a scooter and you're giving bukus of money, you know, you can run, you can
Maybe
push out there.
Maybe they bring Coach Fulmer back to greet him at the top of the tee and they take their picture.
Yeah. Well, he's obviously off the disabled list a little bit. You know, I saw where he was up at the barbecue place at Greenback.
Was this since surgery?
Yes, his picture was on Facebook. He was up at the what's that place up there, Donnie? The barbecue place at Greenback.
Greenback.
The station?
Downtown. You know, the barbecue place.
You talking about Greenback Diner?
No, not
not
Greenback.
Greenback.
Not Greenback.
No, Friendsville.
Friendsville.
Oh, yeah, Small Town Barbecue.
Small Town Barbecue. He was up at Small Town Barbecue. So he's looking good. Looking pretty good. So that was just last week. So.
Yeah, I don't think we ever got a good clarification about what had happened or why he was being treated.
Fulmer was.
What